New York City this weekend announced a new minimum pay rate for app food delivery workers that could significantly raise the standard of living for people working in those services in New York City. So we know that they were already popular. Things like Uber Eats, DoorDash, leading to the pandemic, they rose a ton during that period. In 2019, by the way, delivery accounted for about 7% of total US restaurant sales. They spiked in 2020. They're still higher than they were pre-COVID. There's 60,000 food delivery workers in Manhattan alone. So this is not a small thing that affects just a few people. This is many, many people. On average, they make about $7.09 an hour, which I don't know how you can live on that in an area like Manhattan. They're not necessarily living in Manhattan, but you can't live near there at $7.09. This new pay rate will eventually allow them to earn $19.96 an hour. It's going to more than double by July 12th, then increase again to nearly $20 an hour in April 2025. So it's going to be sort of phased in, and it will also then be adjusted annually for inflation. So you're not gonna be surprised to find out that the services, Uber Eats, DoorDash, hate this and are gonna fight back as hard as they can against it. But if you're one of these delivery workers, I mean, this is a potentially massive change to the amount of money that you're making. Benny, what do you make of it?
Yeah, this is absolutely huge because like the unfortunate reality is this is the future of work, right? Giant companies found a really fun loophole, which is, if somebody's technically an independent contractor, you can basically pay them nothing. Oh my goodness gracious. And so this should have been dealt with like 10 years ago. Like that really is the issue, is that anytime there's some sort of new innovation under capitalism to make people's lives more miserable and to like control them in one particular way, like to scrutinize their lives and put them under like an app that's like watching them all the time while they do their work. It always takes like decades of organizing work to bring us back to where we were just before that rolled out. And so it's cool that this is happening, right? And I think other places are also trying to do this as well. But also, it is really shameful that it took this long to happen. And I hope that the law is written broad enough that it applies to more than just food delivery services, because there's a heck of a lot of other companies that are doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I would also file under the same sort of rubric of it's really gonna come down to the details of they need to be on the lookout for this. If you pass this, you make it official, you then need to be watching year after year, talking to the actual workers to make sure that their experience is anything like what, in the graphics that we've shown you it's supposed to be. Because as of right now, the city is going to allow the delivery apps flexibility in how they pay the delivery workers the new minimum. So as long as workers make the minimum amount, apps can choose to pay them per trip, per hour worked, or through their own formula. They additionally will have to pay them for the time that they spend waiting for a trip and their trip time. So all that sounds good. And in theory, they've already gotten out ahead of like these services sort of gaming it to not pay them as much. They say you do have to end up making that amount, but also you can't just assume that they're going to make good on this. You can't allow them to have too much control over arbitration if they're challenged by workers or by a group of workers. So I really hope that some of the politicians in New York who are making this happen are gonna be watching out for it, talking to the workers and ensuring that it works the way that it's supposed to. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think really at the end of the day, for stuff like this, there should be some sort of independent body that reviews all of their payroll data, because that's the only way to make sure that their formulas and algorithms are doing what they're saying they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. But anyway, love to see it. This is the sort of thing that in theory could start to spread. More and more Americans are being forced into this sort of work. If that's gonna be the case, they should at least be paid for it. It's still difficult for a million different reasons, and the wear and tear on your car and all of that, you should at least be compensated fairly. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.